Mic check. Got it? Got it? Okay, ready. Okay.
Well, good morning. What a difference a day makes. Just over 24 hours ago, this was the scene of an EF1 tornado carrying as much as 80 to 100 mile per hour winds, and led to the tragic death of two guests here to the Commonwealth of Virginia. So we want to recognize several of the dignitaries that are behind me here. We, of course, have a native of the Eastern Shore, Dr. Ralph Northam, and now Lieutenant Governor Ralph Northam. We have our Senator Linwood Lewis representing the Eastern Shore. Delegate Rob Bloxham is here with us as well. And then someone who really deserves a great deal of our admiration and for all of his service yesterday and continuing in this recovery effort is Sheriff Doty is here as well. And so I want to turn this over to our governor, who has cut his plans short, out-of-state travel. He wanted to be here on the scene to thank the first responders. So with no further ado, I'd recognize our governor, Terry McAuliffe.
Well, thank you, Mr. Secretary. Dorothy and I, the First Lady, wanted to come down firsthand to see what happened and occurred here yesterday. I want to first thank everybody in the community for what they have done, taking care of the folks that were here. I really want to thank Sheriff Doughty and his whole team, the fire and all the first responders, my Department of Public Safety, Jeff Skern, Emergency Management, all the team. I've always said since elected governor, my first responsibility is to ensure the safety of the folks of the Commonwealth of Virginia. For me, it's never a question of if we are going to have a natural disaster, but it's a question when. Obviously, with the extreme weather patterns we're seeing, we have had many instances where tornado warnings have come into the Commonwealth of Virginia. Obviously, unfortunately, yesterday, we had a terrible incident here. 2 individuals lost their lives. Our thoughts and prayers are with the family. In addition to 3 members of the family are still in the hospital. Young Lee, 13 years old, is in very, very critical condition. He has gone through his surgery, but he is in very serious condition. I would just ask everybody thoughts and prayers to the family to make sure that everybody who was impacted yesterday. We just had a briefing in the command center. We just took a tour of parts of the park campground. We're going to take a tour of the rest. But over here you see these gigantic campers that are literally flipped upside down. It is an incredible sight to see. And I will say that the good Lord was watching over us yesterday, because the idea that only 2 individuals were killed yesterday, you see the devastation. At 8:30 in the morning, luckily I think most people were up, but had they been asleep and more people in their tents and in their campers, I think what occurred here yesterday would have been much worse. It is a tragedy, but as I say, the good Lord was watching out. I just want to thank everybody in the community here for what you have done, for the fast recovery. We're now in recovery mode here. We will continue to be here and do everything that we possibly can. I've asked Holly and her team from the emergency management folks, what can we learn from yesterday? What can we do better? Are there things we need to do to prepare ourselves for the next time this type of incident occurs? But we wanted to come down and see it firsthand, and I'll be glad to take a couple questions from the audience. Yes, ma'am. Well, we take a lot of pride, might be a prejudicial statement, but I do think we have the best emergency response team in the country. This is what we prepare for every single day. As you know, I was here last month to talk about what we need to do in the case of a catastrophic event, and how do we evacuate 900,000 folks from Hampton Roads, as well as 500,000 folks who'd be coming up from North Carolina. So we are preparing. This is what we do every single day. I do think we have the best team in the country. Since I've been governor, I had to declare 2 states of emergencies. We are preparing on a daily basis. We have tabletop exercises. Yesterday was not a drill. It was a real-life incident, and we were prepared. And I want to thank everybody involved, our state police, as I say, the sheriff, our fire, but all of the teams, the state and the local, who all came together, and the community. I've heard that over and over from the community. They brought food, they brought water. I was told today, please, no more food. But listen, the community responded. This is the Virginia way. This is how we do it, and we're going to continue to prepare. I get out of bed every day worried about what type of incident could occur, and we need to be prepared for that. We need to be prepared for a massive event as well as smaller events. So I'm very proud of our team here. They were on. We were here within literally immediately. The folks here had no warning. They had about 8 minutes, those that got the warning. And as I say, with an 8-minute warning that the devastation and the lives taken were not even greater was really a blessing. But once we got past that point, the emergency response on Dr. Northam, our lieutenant governor, was in the hospital yesterday actually doing work as many of the folks who showed up at the hospitals. It was a great team effort. This is what we're supposed to do, and I'm proud of the team. They did it.
Quick question, is there a way to improve? Very rare to have a tornado like this happen in this section of the country at this time of day. Does that surprise you?
It did surprise us. It came in 100-mile-an-hour winds very quickly with no notice. Usually you get a bit of notice to prepare yourselves. No notice to anyone, as I say, 5 to 8 minutes for those that actually were able to hear it and be able to move very quickly. But listen, we have extreme weather patterns. And as you can see, the extreme weather patterns all across the country are making matters and situations much worse. I always say, and I tell my Secretary of Public Safety every day, we got to be prepared in the incident that a gigantic event occurs here in the Commonwealth of Virginia. With what's going on with these weather patterns, and when we saw here yesterday, this was a freak type of incident, 100-mile-an-hour winds, no notice, boom, it was here, shows what we have to prepare ourselves. When we think we're good at all this, we got to be prepared for the next one. And how do we make ourselves even better? And as I say, I've asked Holly to give me a report. I want to report in the next couple days, what did we do right, what can we do better?
Governor, is there a personal message you have for the family of the husband and wife that were killed and also the others who were injured?
Well, listen, our hearts, thoughts, and prayers on behalf of all the citizens of the Commonwealth. This family has been coming to this park now for 30 years. A tragic, just right behind me, you know, we're not 50 yards from where the tree actually fell on the tent. So it was a tragedy. Our hearts and thoughts and prayers are with the family, but we all need to pray very hard today for Lee. I cannot stress to you the really precarious, serious situation he is right now. The other two members of the family, one had some abdominal injuries, but the other two family members will be okay. It's what.
Visited Lee in the hospital, Governor?
No, he's in intensive care, and they don't want anybody visiting him right now. He is in a very, very precarious situation. So he's 13 years old, and just all we can do for him is pray right now.
What are some of the folks that you've spoken with in the campground? How are they reflecting on this to you? And what are some of your reflections as you look at this devastation?
I think what we've heard, what generally we have heard from everybody is first and foremost, how do we thank the community? People were just astounded how the community has come out, and people were moved, as you know, into different hotel and motel rooms, free of charge. Food was brought in. They really were astounded at how everybody in the community came together to assist them. So I think on behalf of the folks that we have spoken to, thank you to the community. It was an experience no one ever wants to live through, but that experience, the bright side was that the community here in Northampton County did such a magnificent job. And the folks all said, Governor, we're going to come back. We love this place. We love this campground. This was something that obviously nobody could have predicted.
You said there was an 8 to 5 minute warning. Is there any way to improve that warning time?
You know, I think we look at it. I think we did as much as we possibly could with the warning that we had. This is the thing that always, with these types of events and the decisions that ultimately that the Secretary of Public Safety ultimately brings to the governor's office, when do we declare states of emergency in order to move what we have to do? And obviously there's a lot of factors that go in it. But I think obviously working with the National Weather Service and all of the federal partners that we have involved in it, I think we get notice as fast as we can. This was a very freak accident that occurred here with no notice, 100-mile-an-hour winds. Wait till you tour and see these campers, these gigantic campers. Some of them are just gone, they're obliterated. And some of the family members are back there right now picking out of the wreckage, whatever they can get, whatever, family items they can get out of it. Other gigantic huge campers are literally just flipped upside down. It's an incredible sight to see. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. I was wondering, agriculture-wise, have you noticed some of the devastation in these areas?
Yeah, and that's the other part of it. Obviously, the issues of public safety and the life of the folks that were here. But there's also, and I spoke to our Secretary of Agriculture, Todd Haymore, this morning. We have a lot of devastation as regards to our agriculture crops. 500 to 900 acres of corn, over 1,000 acres right now of soybean. We have cotton, close to 400 acres of cotton, sorghum. So there is tremendous amount of economic loss in addition to what we see here at the campground. But for the agriculture folks, this has been devastating. And I've already told the Secretary of Agriculture, let's figure out very quickly. Let's hope everybody has insurance, and we need to do what we can to talk to the federal folks to make sure that these folks are compensated, and they're compensated very quickly. So that was a very good question.
Governor, does this particular location in the Commonwealth, with its unique geography, concern you in terms of emergency response in situations like this, because of access over water and peninsula and everything?
Well, and I spoke to Rob in Linwood today about that issue. We talked about, we see this command truck that came up from Chesapeake. Should we be looking at things like we should have a command center here? All very good questions, I think, that need to be asked and answered, and I think we're going to look at that. Listen, you're going to have campgrounds. We have to continue to have campgrounds. This has been here for years. It is a magnificent campground. From when I talk to the families, they love coming here, and we will continue to have families come here. But are there some things we can do because of the distance and the geography with the water? But I think what we saw yesterday is the response was so fast. We had issues, obviously, about getting helicopters in quickly because of the weather. But once the weather cleared, we were able to get the choppers in here. You saw what happened yesterday. Listen, I can only stand here as governor with pride on what all of our response teams did. Everybody, the community, the response team, the folks in law enforcement, the first responders, they could not have done a better job.
Subject of notice, I did talk to a number of witnesses who said they had reverse 911 calls just about the time this occurred. Perhaps your sheriff or somebody could talk to us about the system here and how quickly it did work.
Sheriff Dowdy?
Is that the case? I did hear people telling me that.
We do have a reverse 911 here in Northampton. We did get code spear alerts, but as the governor said, this was a very fast-moving storm that materialized very quickly, and as it came across the bay, it came across so fast it was really difficult to get adequate warning out to just about everybody. But we did get warning out before it hit, but it was just minutes before.
I mean, I think I heard people saying reverse 911 was a miracle to them, and it came with a couple of minutes warning at least.
Yes, it did make a difference here in the campground for some folks. Like the governor said, I mean, it was at 8:30 in the morning we got our first call. A couple hours earlier, there would have been folks still in their campers, and we might have had a very different situation here. But the warning that we were able to get out did seem to help. So.
Time for one more.
Everybody good?
How would you describe what you saw going around today?
Devastation. As I say, when we toured it and saw these gigantic campers literally flipped upside down like they picked up a twig and just they're flipped over. We went by two campsites where the campers were totally obliterated. There was nothing left except for debris on the ground, and one father and son were in there literally picking through it just to find some of the family items that they could salvage. So it was devastating for the families that were here, that were devastating. On the one hand, and on the other hand, what I walked away with is thank goodness that a lot more folks were not killed here. When you walk around here and you see these trees that are just snapped like twigs, and all these campers just upended, upside down, and some of them just totally destroyed, the idea that there were only 2 fatalities, I think God was looking down at us yesterday. And it is just so sad with the 2 fatalities we had. And as I say, I'm praying so hard, and we all need to for Lee. It's just hard to imagine to think it came so fast. And I just remind everybody, this could happen anywhere now. Yesterday afternoon, we had warnings yesterday in Richmond, potential tornadoes. This can happen to anybody, anywhere in the United States of America today. All I can tell you is the folks that are standing beside me, we are doing everything that we can to prepare ourselves for no matter what occurrence happens. We drill for this every day. We work on this every single day. We know we're more vulnerable than other states, obviously because our proximity to the ocean, the issues we just saw, the hurricane that bounced off North Carolina 2 weeks ago, easily could have done a dead-on hit to Virginia. We just need to be prepared for that. But this is tragic to see this. Anytime you have a loss of life, and don't forget the the dozens of folks who went to the hospital yesterday. People have injuries too. So our thoughts and prayers are with all of them. But I'm just proud to stand here as governor and say, thank the community and to thank the folks behind me because they responded quickly and they responded professionally. And we should all be proud today to be a Virginian. Thank you very much.
How are your knees?